My name is 60K. I'm with Broadcasting Esports Every Play. This is Fox. I'm interviewing Fox Artifice.
Hey,
And then, yeah, tell me a little bit about your team. How do y'all form? What makes your team different from the rest?
yeah, so we only formed about a month and a half ago. Sort of a collection of long-term FAs that have been on the grind for a bit, but haven't really found a group that's stuck. I ran into Bounce through SendaQ and Sam through a random pickup, and then PETA like came out of the woodworks from like a long break to join the team, and it just sort of all like lined up in the period of like a week. Yeah, but I'm Fox. I came from a collegiate background. Yeah, that's where I ended up starting playing, and it's just sort of been a an up and up from there. To be honest, like on a personal level, um, me joining this team felt like a really big step. It felt like a huge leap from where I expected myself before, but we just started going at it and pretty immediately qualified for like the SendaQ finale, and then it just sort of clicked, in my head, and I think even in the rest of my teammates' heads, like, oh wow, we've kind of got something here. We're not at the point where we're like, we didn't win any sets in the SendaQ finale, but we took a game off Moonlight. We had a lot of good close sets, and I think that if we can make some stuff happen.
No, yeah, absolutely. Y'all have been on a really good streak, especially for such a young team, kind of just coming out of the woodwork, just consistently qualifying for a lot of the higher end of events, I would say. Um, but at least for you, like, with the new team and everything, I'm just curious, what would you say is like, a significant contribution that you give to this team, perhaps maybe a different perspective or just the way you play the game. How do you feel like, what's your biggest contributing factor to this team, especially to make these, consistently land yourself in these top level events?
I think that because of the team, I am the player with like definitively the least amount of experience, but also means I've been, going from low level, mid level to high level in a very short amount of time. And I feel like I have a really good perspective on that I think is really valuable in particular to a lot of, a couple of my teammates, especially like Sam and Bounce, who've been FAs in sort of this like mid-level high level kind of existence for a really long time, and it's a rough existence being an FA at that level. Nobody wants to form a team, nobody wants to be friends like that. It's hard to have fun with the game at that point, and so I feel like a thing that I help bring is that sort of perspective of like, all right, we're going into this tournament, we're really like looking to get results, but worst case, if we don't beat Hypernova this tournament, we're getting great experience. I think that's the thing that I'm able to remind my team pretty well, and I think they appreciate that perspective.
Okay, so yeah, you definitely bring a lot of good vibes to the team and a good mentality, especially I would assume coming in from, the CCA, you're coming in from a much different perspective. Like you said, a lot of your teammates have been familiar with that FA pickup style, like hell, as you put it, mid level to high level hell, where it's just like it's hard to beat a team. Luckily for you, you were able to, I assume, find a team not too long after
Yeah,
coming into
I was spared. I was on a sort of mid-level team called Lunar Eclipse that I formed, and it was only about like 4 to 5 months after that team disbanded that I ended up getting on Artifice. So I was spared from FA hell, thank God. um, but the window I saw into it was not pretty.
Yeah, so it's good that you bring that to the team. Another thing you bring to the team is that you've been the consistent anchor player. We live in Snipe Rider 5H's world. So clearly that's been the weapon you've been playing the most, but with the Mhm.
Honestly, I have been bringing the new rapid into it.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
bringing it. I've been bringing it in a lot more than I expected, especially given that if you've seen any of the sort of like theory on it, like it doesn't get cooler enough. You might have to run it with double cooler. It kind of, but it is such a strong weapon that it works really well for us. It gives our team a bomb, and that's something that we really lacked. In fact, with the new update between that and Sticker Stamper, we went from a team with no lethal bombs, unless you count burst bomb, to a team with potentially two if we need it, which is kind of huge for some of the stuff we struggled with comp wise.
No, yeah,
As I'm
absolutely.
getting my
Yeah.
tangent.
No, I didn't. That was actually the question I was going to ask. With patch 10.0, have you been exploring new options with your team, specifically new
Mhm.
weapons? Have you, because you specifically play Sniper, which is a Charger? I know a lot of people are playing Charger against their will, but like, is camo something that you're looking into, or even just other things? But you kind of
Oh,
answered my question,
I
but
am I
feel free to go
am
deeper.
absolute dog ass on one shot chargers. I am so horrendous on them. You could like, and it's not because I have bad aim. Like I have the aim that needed, but I can't wrap my head around one shot. I think it's just because I come from more of like a splatling background, and I'm used to like aiming with movement. Pencil isn't a charger; it's a splatling at this point.
With a crazy
But
amount of range.
uh, oh, exactly. It's ridiculous. No, but I like playing pen just because it lets me play a weapon where the excuse can never be, oh well, my weapon's just not good enough. Like, no, I've got to be good enough. That's the only excuse I could possibly come up with. There's no oh no, I've been playing Glugas and it's too slow. What could I have done?
Yeah. Okay. So aside from rapid, you haven't been looking towards any other guns. You've been content on the pencil. It seems like a lot of people have been content on the pencil, and in terms of win rates from the stats we've taken, it works. It's still winning games, clearly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, my sort of theory on it is I think at least in the West here, we're a little too connected to pencil in the sense of it's this recursive loop of the midlines and the fighting guns that we gravitate towards also are really strictly, like these work best with pen. And so it's this just loop of like if you try to go and try out edit or rapid and stuff like that, and you're not then it's not going to feel as good because all of the other stuff in the meta is very centered around stuff that pairs well with pen. My biggest hot take is I still think edit. I still think edit is the best cooler weapon in the game. I still think it is. We just don't run the things that you would want to run with it.
okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I've heard that input a lot from a lot of different teams where we have been seeing a lot more edit lately, but it's you definitely have to run teams that.
Exactly.
Mhm. Okay, well, moving a little bit more into, it's a very young team. Y'all have been talking about how you landing yourselves into some pretty significant events. I wanted to touch briefly on your Superjump 5 run. Uh, you mentioned earlier before we
Mm-hmm.
press record, you had some significant wins over Black Lotus and also Monsoon, which I
Yes,
think,
sir.
yeah, they did. So they did pretty good Monsoon themselves. Also, I would say around the same like level, and y'all were able to take the set off them to land yourselves into the second round of the redemption bracket. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
did go down against Hypernova, but you guys were able to take a game off them, and that team ended up going all the way to fourth place of the day. Um, so could you tell me just a little bit more about those sets and just your general day one like super jump run?
Yeah, so day one super jump I was very excited for that event. In fact, we had to pull some strings to even make it happen. Sam, our splash player, was basically playing on, I think, tabletop, because he and with really poor Wi-Fi, but his Wi-Fi is always horrible, so there's actually no difference there. Um, but yeah, we had to stretch to make it work. I kind of had to convince everybody that like, oh yeah, even if Sam's on this, it's still worth playing this because it's such a big event with so many good teams. Um, and yeah, I think pretty much every set we played was really fun in one way or another. Even like the sort of starting, like the early sets were against some of my friends, either from collegiate or otherwise, and they played really well in those sets. And I ended up talking with them afterwards, and it was great. Monsoon was a scary set. It was a reverse sweep, actually. It was a 3-2 reverse sweep. And I don't mean to call them out, but I watched their stream back, and right after they won game 2, they were sort of joking around. They were like, "Yeah, we're better." And one of them went, "Guys, yeah, we're gonna get reverse swept now. We can't keep." and then we went up, and then we went and did that. Losing to Hypernova, we're slowly getting closer and closer to Hypernova. Like, mark my words, the first like insane team that we're gonna take take a set off of is gonna be Hypernova. And I think there's also that there's a history there too. Sam used to be on, I believe, Velocity with that kid. It might have been a different team. I think it might have been a different team. I don't quote me on that. But he used to be on a team with that kid, and so we're sort of every time we fight them, it's sort of an interesting, like, I wouldn't go as far to say rivalry. I think it's more just like fun to fight against the people and then of course fighting Black Lotus. The Black Lotus felt like the biggest win for us, because we felt strong that set. We felt like we sort of were the dominant team. It didn't feel like we were the underdog there, and yeah, I think playing more of these sets and playing more of these big events. I think I'm the person in the most shock, just because I am not like experienced at this level. But like, seeing these pieces come together, seeing these set wins, roll in because of the work that we're putting into it is both really rewarding and really convinces me that like we could, like, this is not the end. Like, this is only the beginning for us, and I'm really excited to see what we do.
Yeah, I believe, taking that day 2, with honestly, like, again, minimal losses aside from Hypernova, which in their own right, they went on a run this tournament, so it's going down to them doesn't feel that bad. I feel like your run in day 1 was kind of a solidification that your qualification to like the Sendo Q season 7 finale was not a fluke. It was not just a one and done run, and that y'all definitely earned that spot. But speaking on that, like, now we go into day 2, we were looking forward to seeing how y'all would fare up. Let me pull up the bracket to see who you guys would have gone up against. You guys were actually, I think you guys were up against Aura round 1. But unfortunately y'all had to drop. Could you tell us the story behind the DQ there? I was really surprised when I heard about it about like 10 minutes before brackets start. Yeah.
Four words. Sam forgot his controller.
Oh.
That's it. I think he had like driven over to his, like, wherever he was staying for like vacation, and it was like, guys, I only brought the Switch console. He only brought the I can send you a picture after this. He just has the screen itself, no Joy-Cons, no Pro Controller, just a raw Switch. And we were like, I can't even with you at this point. And now we're sort of banging our heads against the wall, because if you look in the bracket, we would have, I believe, taken, what was it, Free Flow's spot in they got 5th, but one of the top 4 teams dropped, and so I think Free Flow qualified for the and I 100% believe we would have taken that. Look, we still got the couple qualifiers to prove something, to make something happen. But man, if only.
Yeah, I heard that that would have been a free spot, because it was originally supposed to be, from what I heard, just from rumors, it's just it's supposed to be a show match between the two, but Aura was like, nah, our current roster that was playing in that event wouldn't have been able to run it that way anyway. So that's unfortunate. But I am curious, like specifically in the head to heads of like that hypothetical bracket, at least for round one, how do you think you would have fared up against like Aura had y'all played?
Aura is that the like the Yoshell?
Yeah, the Zenith, Yoshell,
Yeah.
Silver, Volti.
I'm not gonna lie. The first sort of scrim we ever got versus like a top level team was versus a pickup of roughly those members, and it was like our first week or two of forming, and I obviously score in a scrim doesn't matter, but I think we ended up taking like 4 out of the 11 games that we played, and I think it's something that like we look at that kind of team and it's really kind of freeing fighting a team like that, because you go into it where if you somehow eke out a win or even just a single game win, that's huge. That's amazing. That's such an amazing like show of where what you've improved on because of how talented these players are. But even if you lose, the amount of you learn so much from fighting a team like that. You learn what matters in your game plan, what works, what doesn't work, and you get put in that like such a high stress environment that you just I know some of my other teammates like really look for the results, but I just come out of like a loss versus a team like that with like a huge smile on my face, because I'm just like, ooh, I really I wanna like I want to get to a point where I can beat those teams, and getting smacked into the dirt over and over again by them is the way to do it, in my opinion.
That's awesome, and I love seeing that kind of mindset. And it's a very good mindset to have, especially with a lot of people. At least, again, I'm not a competitor, so I don't know, but a lot of people that I have seen talk about it, a lot of people don't have that mindset, especially a team focused or even a positively focused mindset like that. So it's good to hear that that's how you're approaching it, and hopefully your team is also approaching it that way. Yeah, and honestly, I'm sure you guys would have felt confident. I mean, you said it yourself, even if you went down the aura, you feel pretty confident that you would have made it through the bracket, possibly beating Foams 49, even Free Flow. To go on record, you guys, you feel like you would have had that comfortable first 3 matches. We'd have to see maybe in the future you all will be able to actually go up against some of those teams, specifically a Free Flow, Foams 49, 556.
Yeah.
Uh, Free Flow you might not run into a bracket for a little while, possibly not, unless they played in something.
Well, I think the past like week I've been really bogged down by work, and so my team has been playing with like Captain Happy, but Bro's been on like mute because I don't know. I think his schedule is rough, but like he's playing with us, which is good. I think they fought Free Flow and like lost 2-3. So it is definitely like me saying I think we would have beaten them is still respecting the fact that they're a great team. They're a great team. Um, but also we had some momentum in Superjump. We had some momentum. It could have been great.
Yeah, truly unfortunate that Sam forgot the controller there.
Next time he goes on vacation, I will like drive over to him and personally make sure he is bringing his controllers.
Exactly. So that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, you mentioned that you haven't been able to play lately, and there's been some events. Last weekend was definitely a lot more packed in terms of like a lot of events as opposed to just one big event. And you said because of just work commitments and whatnot, y'all have been going through a lot of like um a lot of tournaments, but they haven't had a lot of practice with you. Do you feel unprepared going into this first qualifier? Do you feel like a little rusty? Do you worry that you need to like warm up getting into this, or do you feel pretty confident that whatever the magic y'all had 2 weeks ago is still gonna be, flowing going into this qualifier.
I think it's got to take a bit of work, especially tomorrow. But I don't think that has to take the form of like, let's go scrim Moonlight, let's go like, I don't think we gotta, get on a Sendaki grind or anything like that. I think it's more just like, let's get back in the flow. Let's let's have some fun with it, because at least in my experience, like the few low points I've had, with this team, individual tournaments or not, have been because we were trying to win as opposed to have fun. And that sounds like really like cliche and whatever, but I think that the more we're just trying to go into it and have a good time, and because at the end of the day, that's why we want to fight these insanely good teams, because it is so fun to play this game at a highly competitive level. And so I think that'll just be the focus going up into the qualifier.
Of course, yeah, and I'm happy to see, once again, that mindset going into it, and that you're ready to go, you're ready to fight, and you're ready to go into here. But one question I want to leave you off on, before I have to head out. I've got the podcast episode I gotta start getting prepped for. But
yeah.
the last question is, going into the Splat World Series Qualifier number 1. There's a lot of stacked competition, a lot of competition that didn't get in through Superjump, a pretty fierce competition. I just like to know, how do you feel about a lot of the teams that are currently signed up, and where do y'all think you will place roughly, like number placements? How do you feel about this upcoming tournament?
Well, I gotta check who signed up for it now.
Yeah. I could take a look, because I had just
I see FT Win, Frutella, Moonlight. Pathway's been doing some work recently.
They have been, yes.
Okay, yeah, there's some really good teams here. If I were to guess based on the teams that are here, I think if we get a good run, I think we can eke out third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely some tough teams, but specifically like that Mondi Minor team with Zyclone Special, I think that's basically Monsoon, so or at least some of it is. So I mean, I could definitely see it. They're seeded 4th right now. I know a lot of the seeding, especially the preliminary seeding, is just based off Sendo power, and not everyone's been grinding.
No. I think they won SOS the other day. Or they won SOS. Okay. Yeah, Pathway.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like, they're getting some stuff recently. I saw it, I was like, wow.
They've been on the grind. It's definitely I definitely enjoy watching Miners POV, because someone who likes watching sloshers, it's quite a delight. So but yeah, that's great to hear. I'm excited to see how y'all do. At least in the preliminary seeding, I think they have you way low, but there's just in general,
that's expected.
This top 10 is just incredibly stacked as is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing how y'all end up playing. And before I go, do you have anything you'd like to add? Any last things you'd like to say for the camera, for the recording?
Yeah, in our server we have a channel. We have a channel called Bounce Points. For obviously after our teammate Bounce. Mm-hmm. And it's a running tally of every time he isn't the last member in the room of a game. If he gets to 100, either he gets a special prize or the world ends. Who knows?
All right, so you heard it here first. If you want to see if the world ends or if Bounty has a nice little treat, check out Artifice's Discord server. Also check them out on their socials. Make sure to also check out Fox on your socials. I believe you're at Twitter at the very least. It's SPO_Fox.
Yeah, and it's about the same thing on Blue Sky too.
Okay, then yeah, SPL Fox on Blue Sky as well, or I'm assuming it's .bsky.social. But yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down and answer some questions.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you as well.
And good luck this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing how your team does.